Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to take a look at Godzilla vs. Kong leaks. This, I guess you could say, is a full plot breakdown, point by point, element by element. Not major story elements here specifically, but there will be quite a lot of spoilers, potentially. These leaks are from Sayaka, who is a well-known leaker and has been confirmed legitimate. In fact, they were banned from Toho Kingdom because they keep leaking stuff. Disavow whatever, whether you approve or not, it's all the same to me. With respect to these, I've been doing some theory videos on Godzilla vs. Kong, and I wanted to spoil myself. So for those that want to be spoiled too, you can dive into this video with me, and those that don't, click off the video now. That being said, let's dive into it. So these are all from Sayaka. There is also a discussion and a comparison to the original Russian footage leak as well, because there have been some things which changed, so we will get to that. But Godzilla essentially resembles the exact same version from King of the Monsters, which makes perfect sense. We have seen that in the trailer, and that has now been confirmed. He is the same size in terms of height that he was in King of the Monsters, but he is heavier now than Kong. Again, which makes sense because, yes, Kong punches him, but he doesn't really go down. He can get pushed over in the trailer, as we see, but yeah. Godzilla will apparently get a lot of cool new powers. So there is some interesting development there to Godzilla, developing some powers and things like that. I'd like to see some new powers. I'm all for that. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Godzilla's new powers and things like that, and also the Monsterverse in general, please do stay tuned because I will be dramatising Godzilla Aftershock and also the original Godzilla prequel novel, the graphic novel. Anyway, Kong's home is now the centre of the Earth. It's basically the hollow Earth, and that's how he has grown. Now we know that Michael Dougherty had already confirmed that Kong will grow, or Kong does grow, because of radiation. That's now his source of food, I guess, nourishment, nutrition, and that is how he grows so big in this movie. He has relocated because the radiation is, I guess, weaker now on Skull Island. There are some rumours going around that Skull Island is destroyed. That's not what Sayaka indicated, but they do indicate that Kong's home is now the hollow Earth. And there's lots of sufficient radiation there for him. Kong has no powers in this film at all, so don't expect some supercharged, electrical charged Kong. He has just brute force and speed. He is quite powerful now, though, and he even manages to wound Godzilla with his weapon, his axe. Now, the original leaks were that it was going to be a stone axe, and that was in concept art, but of course we have now seen in the trailer that it looks to be made from a bone, and a Godzilla dorsal plate. So the theory is that this will be a weapon passed down through the generations of Kongs. He is, of course, his normal brown colour, very stronger figure, tinier head, and he's got more fur, but it's uncertain if there's a beard. However, that was when these were originally thrown out there. But they do say that this might have changed since the toys and Russian footage show Kong to be darker in colour, have an average size head and what looks to be a beard. But we can actually even see that in the trailer. There are two versions of Kong. I believe it's showing Kong essentially becoming a bit supercharged in the trailer, whether he descends into the hollow Earth and consumes a bit more radiation or not. There are two versions of Kong in that trailer, one with a beard and one without. Now, Kong is the same height as Godzilla, we know that now. But originally in the Russian footage anyway, Kong was at near equal height to Godzilla, but Sayaka said he was 90 meters tall. But we can see in the trailer that he's basically the same height. So that's why it's important to compare the Russian footage with the Sayaka leaks. Now, Julian Dennison's character will be working alongside Madison Chandler, who is Millie Bobby Brown, in investigating the unusual behaviour in the Titans. So that's what they're doing. They're running around investigating Titans. And Apex is basically the bad guy. They're an evil company similar to Umbrella Corporation. And there is some interesting stuff with them. So, I mean, Apex is basically making weapons and trying to control stuff. Now, the talk of Apex actually takes us on to the general technology in this film. There are a lot of science fiction elements and a lot of future technology in this film, which we have seen in the trailer and also in the toy leaks. There are the HEAVs, the Hollow Earth anti-gravity vehicles, and according to Sayaka, that this will not be a realistic film at all. It will be very much out there. And the technology will be very reminiscent of Pacific Rim or the MCU. Now, the aircraft carrier itself that we see in the trailer that Godzilla and Kong fight on is actually just a normal aircraft carrier, which goes in and confirms what I had previously done in the trailer breakdown. Is it looks to be a Nimitz class aircraft carrier, which is absolutely massive. Actually, they are the world's biggest aircraft carrier, so it's no surprise that they used that. And it's actually a tribute to the giant raft from the original King Kong versus Godzilla. So a nice callback. I think that's quite interesting. As I previously said, Kong's territory is now the Hollow Earth, and that radiation is actually the explanation as to why he is so big. And they don't explain why the radiation is now limited on Skull Island, but I would imagine it's because of all of the Titans that went there. But this also, like I said, explains why Kong is so big, while his ancestors were so small. Now, King Ghidorah's head will apparently appear in this film. It's essentially rotted and is just bones now, but it's kept in the Apex laboratory. And it's interesting because a lot of people are saying, well, in various leaks anyway, is that Mechagodzilla's brain is powered by King Ghidorah's brain. That's basically inside Mechagodzilla. And Sayaka did allude to that. He says there is a link between Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla. So potentially that is the case. But I think that's quite a stretch, that the brain is inside Mechagodzilla. But maybe I'm wrong. I do think that is a stretch. But again, if we're taking this into account that it is a non-realistic movie, then maybe it makes a lot of sense. Apex, again, fully evil corporation. The toy leaks, according to Sayaka, don't do Mechagodzilla any level of justice at all. Mechagodzilla is actually the ultimate villain of the film, so they've spent quite a lot of time getting that design right. But again, that is the ultimate villain of the film. And the final battle between him, Kong, and Godzilla takes place in Hong Kong amidst neon lights at night, very Pacific Rim-like. Which is interesting because the Hong Kong battle is the climax of the movie. Now, that battle itself is a 5-minute straight battle between Godzilla and Kong. There's no cutaways. It's a straight battle between Godzilla and Kong in Hong Kong. Now, the interesting part of that is that's then where Mechagodzilla will come up afterwards. So, 5-minute battle between Godzilla and Kong, then Mechagodzilla comes in the fray afterwards. Now, in that battle, there is actually one monster that is essentially the winner. Now, there are multiple rumours as to the winner of that. You've seen probably loads and loads of videos explaining who's the winner of that fight. And the rumour has actually been flip-flopping between each of them. There has been leaks rumoured between each of them. Now, the idea was, in one of the major leaks, was that it would be Kong that gets the upper hand in Hong Kong because he's on land, whereas any water fight, i.e. the aircraft carrier fight that we see between Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla has the upper hand because water is his territory. Now, I'm not too sure whether I believe that because there have been some other rumours to say that actually, no, Godzilla is the one that almost wins and then Mechagodzilla comes out. But if we're running off the pretty major leak that, you know, Kong is the guy that has the upper hand. He wears Godzilla down, and just as, you know, he could deliver the final blow, Mechagodzilla comes into the fray and sort of gets in between them. And like I said, is very Pacific Rim-like. Apparently, in terms of, and again, don't be concerned, but in terms of the lighting and things like that. Now, GVK is going to be bigger in scale compared to Godzilla King of the Monsters, with more new monsters living in the Hollow Earth, which we've seen, actually. There's a good few monsters. There's Warbats. There are bat-like titans as well. There's skull crawlers. There's a lot down there, and that's really cool. I'm very happy to hear that and see that. Now, again, Godzilla and Kong's final battle will be a one-on-one fight, and there will be a clear winner between the two. Neither Godzilla or Kong kill each other, but one may die against Mechagodzilla was the original leak. Kong has no superpowers, just use a brute force, blah, blah, blah. Covered all of that. Mechagodzilla resembles his Showa design with lots of destructive weapons. There was rumours of an EMP device, but again, pretty unconfirmed at this point in time. And Kong obviously wields his giant axe. Mechagodzilla has no missile fingers. He almost has like strange UFO clamping claws. It's quite odd, actually, in terms of the design. Pretty odd one. Now, to go into a little bit more detail in terms of the sort of Hong Kong war, anyway, because this is the climax of the fight. The Hong Kong battle begins with a 1v1, then a 1v1, then finally a 2v1. So, a la any sort of versus like Batman versus Superman, they team up against the greater threat. The fight takes place at night with the lots of neon lighting. Godzilla and Kong's battle is about 5 minutes long. It's the climax of the movie and is an absolute epic. It will decide who's the king of the monsters, apparently. So, if we're going off the previous rumour that it's Kong that wins, Kong becomes the king of the monsters. It's a continuous action scene, there's no cutaways, it's a completely fair fight. Godzilla looks like a beast and is very violent. There's no death, just one monster knocking down the other. Winner is kept ambiguous, but there's been several hints, and I think the winner is the one that you want. Long live the king. So, sounds like it's going to be Godzilla. So that, again, flies in the face of the previous rumour. It is honestly all over the place with these rumours and leaks. The battle with Mechagodzilla is a second climax, as it's a huge threat to everyone. It's heavily implied to be a team-up between Godzilla and Kong against Mechagodzilla, because Mechagodzilla is quite powerful. Now, Mechagodzilla is the ultimate villain of the film. UFO, claw, catch your hands, no fingers. It has a classic look. It looks much better than what the toys indicate. It has a lot of destructive weaponry. Again, all things I've said, but powerful energy weapons are what they're quoting here. So, interesting. There's a link between King Ghidorah's left head and Mechagodzilla, and concept art show Mechagodzilla in a hangar bay with a dead skullcrawler, almost as if he's been tasked, I guess, piloted, tested out against skullcrawlers on Skull Island, I presume, which makes sense. It goes hand in hand with the King of the Monsters credits anyway. There's again lots of new titans. They all live in the Hollow Earth. Snake Titan fights Kong based on concept art. It has a snake-like face, not skullcrawler face. We know this one. It's called Warbat. Rodan and Mothra is basically they're not going to appear at all. Behemoth won't appear. And Ghidorah's left head will appear. But apparently it's mainly bones, which, if we're going back to the Russian footage, like I had said before, is way off the mark. Because the Russian footage, Ghidorah was alive and angry and chained up within an ice fortress. In the Russian footage, which is completely different. Really, really different. But interesting that they went to change it that much. And I wonder whether this is sort of an element to the reshoots, because that may have happened. Because the Russian footage description, because this is what I wanted to go into now, the footage is somber in tone, and it opens with Skarsgård entering an ominous glacier-like temple. Ghidorah is shown enraged and bound by chains in the fortress, surrounded by soldiers. The narrator warns of an impending war, with footage cutting to a dejected Kyle Chandler, the sight of Madison despairing, and finally a restless ocean coast overcast by a biblical thunderstorm. Kong rises from a half-sunken aircraft carrier, glaring at Godzilla, and he then attacks, and both grapple amongst fleeing soldiers. Kong, with great speed and agility, lands a punch on Godzilla. Godzilla is completely unfazed, and his own attack sends Kong sprionking, flying, which is actually, again, if you're looking at the footage that we've seen now, does actually come into it a little bit, to be honest. So it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. Now, there you go. There's, I guess, full sort of plot leaks from what we know. Like I said, a lot of this is coming from Sayaka. A lot of that is very, very, very much confirmed. We can say that's pretty much legitimate. But what do you guys think of this? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. Thank you all so much for your general viewership and continued support. You can actually become a member of the channel now. So if you do, thanks so much. But anyway, take care.